The council chamber floated in the darkness of space like a crown of silver and glass. Inside, representatives from 200 species sat in circular rows, their bodies strange and wonderful. Some breathed methane, others existed as clouds of organized particles. But today, they all shared one thing: contempt for the humans. Ambassador Hyunwoo stood alone at the center of the chamber. His hands shook slightly, though he tried to hide it. Around him, alien voices rose and fell like waves of mockery. Some laughed with sounds like breaking glass. "The humans ask for more time," said Counselor Vextar, his reptilian eyes gleaming with pleasure. He was large, covered in green scales that reflected the chamber's lights. His species had wanted human territory for decades. They always ask for more time. Time to build ships they cannot afford. Time to train soldiers they do not have. Time to pretend they matter in this galaxy. Laughter rolled through the chamber. Hyunwoo felt heat rise to his face, but he kept his expression calm. He had learned to hide his emotions during his 3 years as Earth's ambassador. It was the only way to survive these meetings. High Chancellor Mordain raised one crystalline appendage. The ancient being glowed with soft blue light, and the chamber fell silent. Mordain had ruled the council for 5 centuries. His voice came like music through the translators. "Ambassador Hyunwoo, your world has occupied 17 systems for 300 years. In that time, you have contributed little to galactic defense, refused to share your biological diversity for study, and failed to meet tribute requirements 4 times. The council grows tired of Earth's excuses." Hyunwoo stepped forward. His voice carried through the chamber, amplified by technology he barely understood. "Honored council members, Earth asks only for what was promised when we joined this alliance: protection of our sovereignty, time to develop our civilization. We are a young species compared to most here. Give us a chance to prove our worth." "Your worth?" Vextar stood, his tail sweeping behind him. "Let me tell you about human worth. 900 years ago, your people sent out a great fleet, the Exodus Fleet, you called it. Thousands of ships filled with your best warriors, your brightest minds, your most advanced technology. They vanished into deep space, never to return. Dead, all dead. That is human worth. You send your strongest into the void, and the void swallows them." More laughter. Some species banged appendages against their seats in approval. Hyunwoo felt something break inside him, but his voice remained steady. The Exodus Fleet was a colonization mission. They sought new worlds beyond the galactic rim. Just because we lost contact does not mean they failed? Vextar's laugh was cruel. "Ambassador, it has been 9 centuries. If they lived, they would have returned. If they thrived, they would have sent word. They are gone. And Earth, left with only the weak and the afraid, has stagnated ever since. Your military is a joke. Your 47 ships could not defend a single planet against a real threat." The truth of those words hurt more than the mockery. Hyunwoo knew Earth's fleet was small. After the Exodus Fleet left, Earth had struggled to rebuild. Resources were limited. Allies were few. The species that had once seemed friendly now saw only weakness to exploit. "The Council has made a decision," Mordain announced. His voice carried a finality that made Hyunwoo's stomach drop. "Earth has 30 days to demonstrate military capability worthy of maintaining sovereignty over 17 systems. If you cannot, those systems will be redistributed to species who can properly defend and develop them." 30 days? Hyunwoo's calm finally cracked. "That is impossible. You know we cannot build a fleet in 30 days. Then perhaps you should not have let your fleet decay to nothing," Vextar said smoothly. "Or perhaps you should have been honest about your capabilities when you claimed those systems. Either way, the decision is made. 30 days. Human. Make them count." The council dismissed him with a gesture. Hyunwoo walked from the chamber, his legs feeling heavy. Behind him, He heard them already discussing which species would claim which human worlds. They talked about his people's homes like merchants dividing goods at market. Light years away, Captain Ji-won stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Horizon. She was young for a captain, only 32, but Earth's military promoted based on skill now. They had no choice. Too few people wanted to join a fleet everyone knew was inadequate. The communication from Hyun-woo came through encrypted channels. Ji-won listened to his report, watched his tired face on the screen, and felt anger burn in her chest. 30 days, she repeated after he finished. They give us 30 days to do what would take 30 years. I know, Captain. I tried everything. Called in every favor. Made every argument. They have already decided. Hyun-woo looked like he had aged years in the past hour. I am sending you the fleet dispositions. Vex-Tar's people are already moving ships toward our border colonies. Others will follow. Ji-won pulled up the tactical display. Red markers indicated hostile fleet movements. There were so many. Her own fleet, Earth's entire defense force, showed as 47 blue dots scattered across multiple systems. It looked pathetic in comparison. We cannot win this, said Commander Tae-young, standing beside her. He was older, a veteran of the border skirmishes that Earth pretended were not happening. Even if we pulled every ship to one location, we would be outnumbered 10 to 1. And that is before the other species join in. So what do you suggest? Ji-won asked, though she knew the answer. We surrender. Negotiate for our people to keep their lives and some autonomy. Better to bend than to break. Ji-won wanted to argue, but the numbers did not lie. Earth could not win a war against the Galactic Council. They could barely maintain the ships they had. Most of their weapons technology was centuries behind the other species. The Exodus fleet had taken Earth's best military assets when they left, and humanity had never fully recovered. I will not surrender, Ji-won said quietly. Trying what? We have no allies, no secret weapons, no miracle solutions. Before Ji-won could respond, the sensor officer called out, Captain, I am detecting something strange at grid reference 774. Long-range sensors are picking up gravitational anomalies. Probably just a stellar phenomenon, Tae-young said. The void plays tricks on sensors at that distance, but Ji-won moved to the sensor station anyway. She had learned to pay attention to details, to the small things others dismissed. On the screen, waves of distorted space-time rippled at the edge of known space. Something massive was moving out there. Something that bent space around it. Keep monitoring it, she ordered. And send the data to Science Command. I want to know what could cause readings like that. The sensor officer nodded, but Ji-won could see the doubt in his eyes. They were looking for threats close to home, not mysteries at the galaxy's edge. They had 29 days left to save their civilization. None of them knew that those readings would change everything. That the impossible was about to become real. That Earth's lost children were coming home, and they were not the weak explorers who had left 9 centuries ago. In the darkness between stars, something ancient and powerful was moving, and it was heading straight for Earth. Dr. Minji had not slept in 36 hours. Her eyes burned as she stared at the screens in the Seoul Orbital Platform's research center. The data made no sense. It should not exist. Yet there it was, undeniable and impossible. Run the analysis again, she told her team for the 5th time. Check for interference. Check for spoofing. Check for anything that might explain this. Her assistant, a young man named Bauman, looked up from his console. Dr. Minji, we have checked everything. The signal is real. The encryption is real. The source is real. We have to accept what we are seeing. Minji rubbed her temples. She was a scientist. She dealt in facts and evidence. But this evidence told her something that defied 900 years of accepted history. The signal they had intercepted came from deep space, from a region where no human ships should exist, and it used communication protocols that had not been active since the Exodus fleet disappeared. Admiral Tae-young entered the lab, his military uniform crisp despite the late hour. Behind him came Captain Ji-won. They both looked tired and worried. The countdown to Earth's annexation had reached 23 days. "Show me," Taeyang said simply. Minji brought up the main display. Waves of encrypted data scrolled across the screen. Patterns within patterns. "We detected this signal 18 hours ago. At first, we thought it was background radiation, just noise from space. But the computer recognized something in the patterns. Old military encryption codes. Very old." "How old?" Ji-won asked, stepping closer. 900 years old. From the Exodus fleet era." The room fell silent. Taeyang's expression hardened. "That is impossible. The Exodus fleet is gone. Everyone knows this. They vanished into deep space and never returned. This has to be a trick. Maybe Vextar's people are trying to give us false hope." "I thought the same thing," Minji admitted. "But look at this." She pulled up another screen. The encryption uses protocols that were never made public. These codes were known only to the fleet commanders of the Exodus fleet. They were destroyed in Earth's records during the data purge of 2987. No alien species could know them because we do not even know them anymore. Ji-won leaned in, her eyes scanning the data. She had studied military history at the academy. The Exodus fleet had always fascinated her, a legend from humanity's golden age. "Can you decrypt it?" "Can. We are trying. The mathematics are incredibly complex. Whoever sent this knew exactly how to make it difficult, but not impossible for modern Earth to decode. It is almost like they wanted to prove they are really human without making it easy for others to intercept." Bauman spoke up from his station. "Dr. Minji, I have got something. The outer layer is breaking down. We are getting fragments of the message." Everyone crowded around his screen. Words appeared, flickering and incomplete at first. Then, growing stronger. "Brothers and sisters of Earth, do not fear. We have returned. 900 years. Never forgot. Home. Coming." Ji-won felt her heart hammer in her chest. "Coordinates. Are there coordinates?" Minji worked quickly, her fingers flying across the controls. "Yes. They are sending rendezvous coordinates. Location is the Veil Nebula, at the edge of human-claimed space." "This is a trap," Taeyang said firmly. "Think about it. An impossible signal using impossible codes appears exactly when we need hope most. Someone is playing with us. If we send ships to those coordinates, they will be ambushed." "Or," Ji-won countered, "the Exodus fleet really has returned, and they chose now to reveal themselves because they know we are in danger." "Captain, be reasonable. How could they survive 900 years in deep space? How could they know we are threatened? How could they even navigate back to known space after so long?" Ji-won had no answers. The logical part of her brain agreed with Taeyang. But something else, something deeper, told her this was real. She had felt it when she saw those gravitational anomalies on the sensors. Something enormous was moving through space toward them. "We need to tell the council," Minji said quietly. "Even if it is not real, even if it is a trap, they should know we detected this." Taeyang shook his head. "If we tell them about an impossible signal from a dead fleet, they will think we are more desperate than they already believe. It will make things worse." "Unless it is real," Ji-won said. "If it is real, then the council needs to know that Earth is not alone, that we might have allies they did not expect." After a long moment, Taeyang nodded. "Send it to Ambassador Hyun-woo. Let him decide what to do with it. But prepare for mockery. The galaxy will not believe this any more than I do." Hyun-woo received the data in his quarters on Council Station Prime. He read through Minji's report 3 times, watched the decoded message fragments, and felt something he had not felt in months. Hope. Dangerous, probably foolish hope. He sent the information to the council with a formal request to delay the annexation. Within an hour, he received responses. Most were dismissive. Some were cruel. Vex's Tar's reply was the worst. "Pathetic human," the message read. "You invent ghost stories to avoid facing your weakness. The Exodus fleet is dead. Even if they lived, what could a fleet of ancient ships do against modern military power? You embarrass yourself with these desperate lies." But one response was different. High Chancellor Mordan requested a private meeting. Hyun-woo arrived at the appointed time, nervous and uncertain. The Chancellor's private chamber was beautiful, filled with crystals that glowed with inner light. Mordain stood at a window, looking out at the stars. "I am very old," Mordain said without turning. "I have lived for 8 centuries. I remember when humans first joined the galactic community. You were enthusiastic, curious, determined to prove yourselves. Then the Exodus fleet left. And something changed. Earth became cautious. Afraid. We lost our best people," Hyun-woo said. "Our best ships. Our confidence. Perhaps." Mordain finally turned to face him. "I am going to tell you something few remember. When the Exodus fleet left, they were not just exploring. They were running. Running from something they discovered. Something that terrified your military leaders so much that they sent half of humanity away to ensure the species would survive." Hyun-woo felt cold. "What? That is not in any history I have read. Because your people erased it." The data purge was not about freeing up storage space. It was about forgetting. About making sure no one asked questions about what the Exodus fleet was really doing. "Why are you telling me this?" Mordain's crystalline face was unreadable. "Because if that signal is real, if the Exodus fleet is truly returning, then perhaps they found what they were looking for. Perhaps they solved the problem that sent them away. And if they did," the Chancellor paused, "then the galaxy should be very, very careful about threatening Earth." Before Hyun-woo could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Emergency broadcasts lit up every screen. Sensor data flooded in from observatories across the galaxy. Something had appeared at the Veil Nebula. Multiple gravitational signatures. Hundreds of them. Thousands. The readings were so massive that at first scientists thought there was an error in the equipment. But there was no error. Ships were emerging from faster-than-light travel. More ships than the sensors could count. And they were heading straight for Earth space, at speeds that should not be possible. Captain Ji-won watched from her bridge as the data came in. Her hands gripped the arms of her command chair so tightly, her knuckles went white. "That is not possible," her sensor officer whispered. "The mass readings. Captain, if this data is correct, what is coming toward us is larger than any fleet in recorded history. Larger than anything we thought could exist." Ji-won thought about the signal. About the message. About 900 years of silence, ending exactly when Earth needed it most. "Send a message to all Earth ships," she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear and excitement warring inside her. "Tell them to hold position. Tell them to stand ready. And tell them..." She paused, hardly believing her own words. "Tell them that the Exodus fleet is coming home." The Veil Nebula had always been beautiful, a cloud of purple and gold gases spreading across space like paint on canvas. Now it became the stage for something the galaxy had never seen. They came through the void like ancient gods returning from exile. The first ship emerged from faster-than-light travel with a flash that lit up sensors across 3 sectors. It was enormous. A dreadnought, 15 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull black as midnight, and covered in geometric patterns that seemed to shift in the light. Then came another. And another. And soon the space around the nebula filled with vessels beyond counting. Fleet Admiral Salmon stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dawn, her hands clasped behind her back. Perhaps 37 years old, with short dark hair and eyes that had seen things no human in known space could imagine. Biologically, she was 37. Chronologically, she had lived for 937 years, most of it in cryo-sleep between the stars. Status report, she said calmly. All ships have completed translation to normal space, replied Commander Nari from the tactical station. Fleet count, 47,312 vessels. All systems optimal. 0 casualties during transit. 47,000 ships. The number seemed impossible. Yet here, they stood. The Exodus fleet had left Earth with only 2,000 vessels. 9 centuries ago. They had grown, evolved, become something far beyond what they once were. Any sign of hostile activity? Salmon asked. Multiple unidentified ships on long-range sensors. They are keeping their distance. Appear to be reconnaissance vessels from various alien species. No weapons lock yet. But they are clearly watching us. Soman allowed herself a small smile. Let them watch. Let them see what humanity had become in the darkness between stars. Let them report back to their councils and their leaders that the weak species they had mocked was weak no longer. Open a channel to Earth, she ordered. It is time we announced ourselves properly. The communications officer worked quickly. Channel open, Admiral. Earth Defense Command is receiving. Salmon took a breath. For 900 years, the Exodus fleet had dreamed of this moment. They had survived impossible conditions, fought battles against alien horrors in deep space, and built an empire in the void, all for one purpose: to return home strong enough that no one would ever threaten Earth again. This is Fleet Admiral Salmon of the Exodus Fleet to Earth Defense Command. Brothers and sisters, we have heard your distress. We are coming home. Hold your position. Do not surrender. We are your shield, and we have returned, light years away. Captain Jiwan heard those words on her bridge and felt tears stream down her face. Around her, her crew erupted in cheers and shouts of joy. The impossible had happened. Earth's lost children had come home, but not everyone shared that joy. Counselor Vextar received the reports with disbelief and then rage. He stood in the command center of his personal warship, surrounded by officers from his species. The tactical displays showed the Exodus fleet's positions, and the numbers made no sense. This must be an error, he hissed. 47,000 ships? No fleet that large has existed since the ancient wars. Check the sensors again. We have checked multiple times, Counselor. His sensor officer replied nervously. The readings are confirmed by 17 different observation posts. The fleet is real, and the technology signatures are unlike anything in our databases. Vex Tar's claws clicked against the armrest of his command chair. For weeks, he had planned the annexation of human worlds. His species would claim the richest colonies, strip them of resources, and enslave the populations. The humans were weak, defenseless. It should have been easy. Now this. A ghost fleet, returning from the void, with impossible numbers and unknown technology. Assemble my fleet, he ordered. If these humans think they can intimidate us with a show of force, they are mistaken. We will intercept them before they reach Earth space. Show them that 900 years of hiding in deep space has not made them strong. It has made them obsolete. His officers rushed to obey. Within hours, Vextar's personal fleet of 400 warships moved to intercept the Exodus fleet at the border of the Veil Nebula. It was a fraction of the enemy's numbers, but Vextar's ships were modern, equipped with the latest weapons and shields. Quality would overcome quantity, or so he believed. Commander Nari detected the approaching fleet on her sensors. Admiral, we have 400 ships moving to intercept. Configuration matches the Vextar Confederation military. They are charging weapons. Salmon studied the tactical display without concern. Do they wish to talk, or do they wish to fight? They are hailing us, Admiral. Put it through. Vextar's reptilian face appeared on the main screen. His eyes were cold, calculating. Unidentified fleet. You are entering restricted space. Identify yourselves immediately and state your intentions. I am Fleet Admiral Salmon of the Earth Exodus Fleet. We are returning home. Stand aside. Vextar laughed. A harsh sound like stones grinding together. The Exodus Fleet. Yes. We have heard the stories. Ancient humans, fleeing into deep space, never to return. Tell me, how does it feel to come home and find your people about to lose everything? Perhaps, if you had stayed, Earth would not be so pathetic now. Salmon's expression did not change. Counselor Vextar, I will say this once. You have threatened our homeworld. You have mocked our people. You have planned to steal what is ours. This ends now. Withdraw your fleet and remove all claims to human territory. If you refuse, we will remove you. You dare threaten me? Vextar's scales flushed darker with anger. Your ships may be numerous, but they are ancient. Relics from a forgotten age. My fleet carries weapons you cannot imagine. I will reduce your precious Exodus fleet to debris, and then I will personally oversee the conquest of Earth. Your people will serve my species as slaves for 1,000 years as punishment for this insult. So be it, Salmon said quietly. She gestured, and the channel closed. Commander Nari, demonstrate our capabilities. Target their lead ships, gravitic disruptors at minimum power. I want prisoners, not martyrs. Yes, Admiral. Weapons ready. Fire. The Eternal Dawn's main weapon activated. There was no dramatic flash, no visible beam. Space itself simply twisted around Vextar's flagship. The ship's shields collapsed, like wet paper. Its hull crumpled inward, as artificial gravity wells formed and dissolved in rapid succession. In 3 seconds, the kilometer-long warship became a compressed ball of scrap metal. Vextar's other ships opened fire, their plasma cannons and missile batteries launching everything they had at the Exodus fleet. The weapons struck invisible barriers and dissipated harmlessly. Quantum shields, technology the Exodus fleet had discovered in ancient ruins, absorbed energy attacks without strain. Return fire, Salmon ordered. Disable their engines and weapons. Leave life support intact. The Exodus fleet responded with surgical precision. 47,000 ships moved as one, their advanced targeting systems tracking every enemy vessel simultaneously. Matter-shredding beams lanced out, cutting through shields and armor like they were not there. Each beam struck only the engine sections and weapons arrays, leaving crew quarters untouched. The battle lasted 90 seconds. When it ended, 400 Vextar warships drifted in space, powerless and helpless. Not one had been destroyed. Not one crew member had been killed, but every single vessel had been completely disabled, and the Exodus fleet had not suffered a scratch. Vextar survived, pulled from the wreckage of his flagship by emergency systems. He floated in an escape pod, watching through the viewport as the impossible fleet passed by his ruined armada. They moved with casual grace, ignoring the defeated ships like they were not even worth noticing. Broadcast this on all frequencies, Salmon ordered. I want every species in the galaxy to receive it. Let there be no confusion about what happens to those who threaten Earth. The message went out across the stars, carrying images of the battle. 90 seconds of footage that would change galactic politics forever. Earth's lost fleet had returned, and they had demonstrated power beyond anything the modern galaxy possessed. Captain Jiwan watched the recording from her bridge, her mouth hanging open in shock. The weapons, the shields, the coordination. This was not just a large fleet. This was a technological revolution. The Exodus fleet had leaped centuries ahead of everyone else. My God, Taeyang whispered beside her. They really did it. They actually survived and thrived out there. More than survived, Jiwan said softly. They became unstoppable. Admiral Salmon looked at the stars ahead. Earth was still days away, even at their enhanced speeds. But the message had been sent. Humanity was no longer the galaxy's victim. They were its new power. and they were coming home. Set course for Earth, she commanded. Maximum speed. It is time to visit the Galactic Council and have a conversation about respect. Council Station Prime had never seen anything like this in its 500-year history. The massive orbital platform hung in space, home to the Galactic Council and symbol of unified civilization. Now it was surrounded. 47,000 warships formed a perfect sphere around the station, each one precisely positioned. Their weapons were not charged, their shields were not raised, but their presence alone was more threatening than any display of force. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer asking for anything. They were here to collect what was owed. Inside the council chamber, chaos reigned. Representatives from 200 species shouted over each other, their voices creating a storm of noise that the translators struggled to keep up with. Emergency sessions had been called. Fleets had been mobilized. And yet everyone knew, deep in their cores, that it was already too late. High Chancellor Mordain struck his crystalline staff against the floor. The sound rang out like a bell, cutting through the noise. Silence. We will have order, or I will clear this chamber. The voices died down to anxious murmurs. Mordain looked old suddenly, the weight of his centuries pressing down on him. Fleet Admiral Salmon of the Earth, Exodus Fleet has requested to address this council. Given the circumstances, I see no reason to deny this request. No reason? A counselor from the Krenth Collective stood, his multiple eyes bulging with indignation. They have surrounded our station with a war fleet. This is an act of aggression, is it? Mordain's voice was sharp. Or is it what we would do if someone had threatened our homeworld? Let us not pretend innocence here. We voted to annex human territory. We planned to divide their worlds among ourselves. The humans know this. They have every right to be angry. Ambassador Hyun Woo sat in the human delegation area, barely able to believe what was happening. For 3 years, he had begged this council to treat Earth with respect. For 3 years, they had laughed at him. Now, they were afraid, and he found he did not enjoy their fear as much as he thought he would. He simply felt tired. The chamber doors opened. Fleet Admiral Salmon walked in, and the room fell, completely silent. She wore a simple black uniform with no decorations except a small Earth flag on her shoulder. She looked so young, so ordinary, that some council members seemed confused. This was the commander of the greatest fleet in the galaxy? She looked like she could be anyone's daughter. But when she reached the center of the chamber and looked around at the assembled species, her eyes held a weight that made ancient beings shift uncomfortably. Those eyes had seen things they could not imagine, had survived what should have killed her 1,000 times over. Honored council members, Salmon began, her voice calm and clear. I am Fleet Admiral Salmon. I command the Exodus Fleet, which departed Earth 937 years ago. We were sent to explore, to colonize, to ensure humanity's survival. We succeeded. Today, we return. Your timing is convenient. A counselor sneered. It was one of Vex Tar's allies. Emboldened by being far from the fleet, Earth faces annexation, and suddenly a mythical fleet appears. How do we know you are even human? This could be an elaborate deception. Salmon turned to face the speaker. You want proof of my humanity? Very well. She pulled up a holographic display. These are the genetic records of every member of my crew. 47,000 ships. 7 million humans. All descended from the original Exodus Fleet colonists. All carrying Earth DNA. You may verify this data. At your leisure. She expanded the display, and information filled the air. Ship manifests, personnel records, genetic databases. The sheer amount of documentation was staggering. But that is not why I am here, Salmon continued. I am here because this council voted to steal human worlds. Because you saw weakness and decided to exploit it. Because you forgot a simple truth. Humanity remembers. She brought up new images. These were recordings, data pulled from council archives. They showed meetings held in secret, species negotiating over which human colonies they would claim. They showed military assessments dismissing Earth's defenses as worthless. They showed Vextar and others laughing about enslaving human populations. The council chamber erupted again. Councilors shouted denials, claimed the data was falsified, demanded to know how she had accessed sealed records. But the proof was there, undeniable and damning. For 900 years, we watched, Salmon said, her voice cutting through the noise. Our long-range monitoring stations observed the galaxy. We saw how you treated Earth after we left. We saw the contempt, the exploitation, the casual cruelty, and we prepared. We grew strong in the darkness so that we could return when our people needed us most. You cannot blame us for protecting our interests, High Chancellor Mordain said carefully. Earth was weak. In galactic politics, weakness invites predation, Salmon finished. Yes, I understand how things work. That is why I am not here to debate or negotiate. I am here to state terms. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Ambassador Hyun-woo leaned forward, his heart pounding. This was the moment everything changed. The Exodus fleet makes the following demands, Salmon announced, her voice ringing with authority. 1. All species immediately withdraw any claims to human territory. 2. The Galactic Council formally recognizes Earth's sovereignty over its current systems, plus an additional buffer zone of 50 light-years. 3. Reparations will be paid for the resources spent on defense against your planned invasion. 4. Humanity receives a permanent seat on the Council leadership, equal in authority to the High Chancellor. The chamber exploded. Councilors shouted that this was outrageous, impossible, an insult to thousands of years of galactic tradition. But Salmon simply waited, her expression unchanged, until the noise died down. And if we refuse? Vextar's voice came through a holographic projection. His physical body was still recovering from his defeat, but his pride was intact. You may have destroyed my fleet, but you cannot threaten the entire galaxy. There are millions of warships across hundreds of species. Even your numbers cannot overcome all of us. Salmon smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Commander Nari, please show the Council our current fleet dispositions. Another holographic display appeared. It showed the galaxy with thousands of markers indicating ship positions. The Council members looked at it in confusion until they realized what they were seeing. Every marker represented an Exodus fleet vessel. And there were markers near every homeworld of every species that had voted for Earth's annexation. We did not bring our entire fleet here, Salmon explained. We brought enough to make a point. The rest are positioned near your worlds. One word from me, and 20 different civilizations ceased to exist. The silence that followed was absolute. Some councilors had gone pale. Others had begun shaking. They had thought the Exodus fleet was large. They had not realized how large. You would commit genocide? Mordain asked quietly. You would destroy billions of lives? Would I? Salmon met his crystalline gaze. I would rather not. I would prefer peace, cooperation, a galaxy where humans and aliens work together as equals. But I will not allow my people to be victims anymore. So I offer you a choice. Accept our terms and live. Refuse them, and learn why humanity survived 9 centuries in the void while you grew soft in your safe council chambers. This is tyranny, someone shouted. You cannot force. Force? Salmon's voice turned cold. You voted to annex our worlds, to enslave our people, to erase humanity's presence in the galaxy, and you call us tyrants for refusing to die quietly? No. This is justice. Delayed by 900 years, but justice nonetheless. She turned to address the entire chamber. You have 72 hours to decide. Accept our terms and recognize that humanity is now a Tier 1 civilization with all the rights and protections that entails, or refuse and face the consequences. There will be no negotiation, no compromise. You made us choose between submission and strength. We chose strength. Now, you must live with that choice. Salmon walked out of the chamber, leaving shocked silence behind her. Ambassador Hyun-woo followed, his legs shaky. Outside, in the corridor, he finally spoke. Admiral, some of those species will never accept this. They will fight. I know, Salmon replied. That is why we positioned our ships where we did. To show them that fighting is pointless. Some will accept quickly. Others will resist until the last moment. A few may need a demonstration. What kind of demonstration? Salmon stopped and looked at him. Ambassador, we found things in deep space. Weapons from civilizations that existed before any current species evolved. We learned how to harness forces that physics says should be impossible. If necessary, we can crack a planet's crust and turn it into an asteroid field in minutes. We will not target civilian populations, but we can destroy infrastructure so completely that rebuilding would take centuries. Hyun-woo felt sick. You would really do that? I would do anything to protect Earth, Salmon said simply. The Exodus fleet survived impossible odds. We lost millions of people in the first century alone. We fought alien horrors you cannot imagine. We endured isolation and despair that would have broken lesser species. All for one purpose: to ensure humanity thrives. I will not fail that purpose now. They walked in silence to the docking bay where a shuttle waited to take them back to the eternal dawn. As they boarded, Hyun-woo looked back at Council Station Prime. Inside, 200 species were deciding humanity's fate. But for the first time in 3 years, he was not afraid. Whatever they decided, Earth would survive. The lost children had come home, and they had brought the strength to ensure humanity would never be threatened again. The first 60 hours passed in tense silence. Across the galaxy, species debated in their councils and war rooms. Some saw wisdom in accepting the human demands. Others saw only humiliation in bowing to what they still considered primitives. Captain Ji-won spent those hours integrating her defense fleet with the Exodus fleet command structure. It was overwhelming. The technology gap was so vast that Earth's best ships seemed like children's toys compared to what the Exodus fleet possessed. Your weapon systems are 9 centuries out of date, Commander Nari explained patiently as they stood in the Eternal Dawn's tactical center. But your people show good fundamentals. With training and equipment upgrades, your crews will be excellent. Ji-won looked at the holographic displays showing both fleets. Her 47 ships now flew in formation with thousands of Exodus vessels. It should have made her feel insignificant, but instead, she felt pride. These were all humans. All family, separated by time, but united by blood. How did you survive? She asked. 900 years in deep space. The resources alone should have been impossible. Nari smiled. The first century was hardest. We almost failed. Lost 60% of our population to disease, accidents, and other things. But we adapted, found water ice on comets, built fusion reactors that could run for centuries, discovered ancient alien technology that taught us things modern science considers fantasy. And you spent all that time preparing to come back? Not all of it. We built new worlds, raised families, created art and culture. But yes, we always knew we would return. Admiral Soman made sure of it. She has been awake for most of the 9 centuries, using cryosleep only when necessary. She remembers Earth as it was. She never forgot what we were fighting for. Ji-won tried to imagine that. 900 years of purpose, of determination that never wavered. She must be the strongest person alive. She is the reason humanity survived. Nari said simply. At the 68-hour mark, the situation changed. 3 species announced they would not accept human demands. Among them was Vextar's Reptilian Confederation. They had assembled a coalition fleet of 8,000 warships and were moving toward human space. High Chancellor Mordain sent a desperate message to Admiral Salmon, requesting more time for diplomacy. Her response was brief. The time for talk is over. The Exodus fleet did not wait for the coalition to arrive. They moved first. Their faster-than-light drives allowing them to reach the enemy's staging area in hours rather than days. The coalition fleet found itself suddenly surrounded by 15,000 human vessels. But Salmon did not order an immediate attack. Instead, she had the Exodus fleet demonstrate their capability on an uninhabited world in Vextar's home system. A single ship, the Daybreak, moved into position above the planet. Its weapon charged for exactly 10 seconds, then fired. What happened next would be recorded and studied for generations. The beam struck the planet's surface and penetrated straight through to the core. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the planet began to crack. Massive fissures opened across continents. The crust split and peeled apart. Within 30 minutes, the entire world had broken into thousands of pieces, transforming from a planet into an asteroid field. The coalition fleet surrendered immediately. Vextar himself appeared on the communication channel, his voice broken and defeated. "We accept your terms. All of them. Please. No more." Salmon's response was measured. "You have seen what we can do. Remember this before you threaten humanity again. Our patience is not infinite, but our memory is eternal." With that demonstration, resistance crumbled across the galaxy. Within hours, every species that had voted for Earth's annexation formally withdrew their claims. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session and ratified the new treaty. Earth received everything Salmon had demanded: sovereignty, buffer zones, reparations, and a co-leadership position on the Council. Admiral Taeyang stood beside Captain Ji-won, watching the treaty signing through a live feed. His expression was complicated, mixing relief with something darker. "We won," he said quietly. "But at what cost? The galaxy will fear us now, hate us. Better feared than extinct," Ji-won replied. "Besides, we did not start this. They threatened us first. True, but fear breeds resentment. Resentment breeds future conflict. Then we will face it when it comes. With the Exodus fleet at our side." That Exodus fleet. 3 weeks after the crisis ended, Admiral Salmon finally came to Earth. Her shuttle descended through atmosphere to land at Seoul Spaceport, where millions had gathered to witness the return of humanity's lost children. The entire planet had declared a holiday. People lined the streets, waving flags and weeping with joy. Salmon stepped out of the shuttle and stood on Earth soil for the first time in 937 years. The gravity felt strange after so long in space. The air smelled different than she remembered, but it was home. President Park greeted her formally, but Salmon barely heard the speech. She was looking at the sky, the clouds, the buildings in the distance. Everything had changed so much. Yet something fundamental remained the same. This was where humanity began. This was what they had fought to protect. Dr. Minji's team had been given access to Exodus fleet technology, and the scientist felt like a child discovering fire for the first time. The mathematics alone would take decades to fully understand. The engineering was centuries ahead of anything Earth possessed. "We want to share everything," Commander Nari told her. "Weapons, shields, propulsion systems, medical technology. The Exodus fleet kept it secret for so long because we were not strong enough to use it safely. Now we are. Now Earth will rise to match us. This will change everything," Minji whispered, scrolling through technical specifications that seemed like magic. "Our entire civilization will transform. That is the idea. Within a generation, Earth will be the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. No one will ever threaten us again. Young pilot Bauman found himself assigned to cross-training with Exodus fleet crews. He sat in the cockpit of a fighter craft that could accelerate to near-light speed, its weapons capable of destroying capital ships. The pilot beside him, a woman named Hana who was only 5 years older, had been born in deep space and had never seen Earth before this week. What was it like? Bauman asked. Growing up out there? Cold, Hana said with a slight smile. Dangerous. But also beautiful. The things we saw. The phenomena we encountered. Space is full of wonders. And horrors. Sometimes both at once. Do you think we will stay? The Exodus fleet, I mean. Now that you are home? Hana considered the question. Some will. Some will want to settle down. Have families on Earth. Know what it is like to walk under open sky. But others, we are explorers. Soldiers. We have spent our whole lives in the void. Admiral Salmon will probably split the fleet. Half to defend Earth, half to continue exploring. There is so much more universe to see. Ambassador Hyun-woo returned to Earth a hero, though he did not feel like one. He had done nothing except survive and deliver messages. The real heroes were people like Salmon, who had endured centuries of hardship for this moment. He met with her privately in the presidential palace, away from cameras and crowds. What happens now? Opens, he asked. You have given Earth the power to reshape the galaxy. What will we do with it? Salmon stood at a window overlooking Seoul. The city glowed in the evening light, millions of people going about their lives, safe now in ways they had not been for centuries. That is not my decision, she said. The Exodus fleet came back to save Earth, not rule it. We will advise, protect, share our knowledge, but Earth's future belongs to Earth's people. We are just the shield that kept them alive long enough to have that future. Some species will never forgive us, Hyun-woo said. They will always see humans as the ones who threaten to destroy worlds. Good, Salmon replied. Let them remember. Let them tell their children about the day humanity showed its strength. Fear is a better guarantee of peace than trust. Trust can be broken. Fear endures. That is a dark philosophy. I have lived in darkness for 900 years. It teaches you things. She turned to face him. But I also learned hope. I learned that humans endure, that we adapt and overcome and refuse to die. The galaxy tried to erase us. Instead, we became its dominant power. That is worth celebrating. A month after the crisis, humanity held a ceremony on Earth. Representatives from every human colony attended. Members of the Exodus fleet stood alongside Earth's defense forces. Dr. Minji presented new technologies. Captain Ji-won received a promotion to admiral. Young pilot Bauman flew in formation with legends. But the most important moment came when Admiral Salmon addressed the gathered millions, her words broadcast across human space and throughout the galaxy. For 900 years, we were separated. Earth thought us dead. We thought Earth might fall before we could return. But we both survived. We both kept faith. Today, we are united again. One humanity, stronger than ever. She paused, looking out at the crowd. The galaxy mocked our weakness. They saw our small fleets and few allies, and thought we were easy prey. They forgot that humans do not measure strength in ships and weapons alone. We measure it in determination, in refusal to surrender, in the bonds between us that time and distance cannot break. The Exodus fleet returned because we promised we would. Because we never forgot our home. Because when humanity is threatened, we do not run. We prepare. We grow stronger. We come back, and we make sure the threat never returns. She raised her hand in salute. Earth will never bow again. Humanity will never be mocked again. We are the species that survives the impossible. We are the ones who spent 9 centuries in the void and came back stronger. Let the galaxy remember this day. Let them remember that humanity's weakness was a lie. Our strength was merely waiting to return. The crowd erupted in cheers that could be heard from orbit. Above, the Exodus fleet maintained its vigil. 47,000 ships standing watch over their home. They had traveled so far, endured so much, all for this moment. Fleet Admiral Salmon looked up at the sky and smiled. They had done it. Against all odds, against 9 centuries of separation and struggle, they had done it. Earth was safe. Humanity was strong. The lost had come home, and they had brought with them the power to ensure no one would ever threaten their people again. In the darkness between stars, other vessels continued to patrol. Half the Exodus fleet would always remain mobile, always ready, always watching, because Salmon knew the truth. The galaxy had learned to fear humanity today, but fear fades with time. New generations forget old lessons. Someday, someone would challenge Earth again, but when that day came, humanity would be ready. They had learned the ultimate lesson in their 9 centuries apart. Strength is not just about weapons and ships. It is about memory, about never forgetting what you fight for, about coming home no matter how long the journey takes. Humanity had come home, and they would never leave again.